So, you're looking to buy a gaming laptop, but all these different models and brand names are so damn confusing. I mean, what the hell is an Acer Predator Helios Neo 14? That's 5 words for a model name, but not to worry. I'll be your guide in this hellscape of a gaming laptop market. Oh god, he's talking to himself again. I've reviewed almost every gaming laptop of 2024, so I think I've got a good hunch on which ones are good and which ones are bad. Now, I haven't tested every single gaming laptop this year, so sorry if your favorite one is left out. I structured this video into 2 parts, so it's a bit easier to navigate. In the first part of the video, I'll tell you per category which laptop is the best. This could be handy for if you're looking for a laptop that does a certain thing the best. And for the second part of the video, I'll be ranking all of the laptops that I've reviewed in a sort of classical tier list. And in this part, I'll tell you which is my definitive pick for the best gaming laptop of 2024. So let's get right into it, starting with build quality. Now, 2024 has seen a lot of budget laptops that were mostly made of plastic, but also some very sturdy boys that were made of all aluminum. And for best build quality, it's a pretty close one between the Razer Blade 14 and the Asus Zephyrus G14. They both have a full aluminum body, but the Blade has a slightly thicker layer. So it actually feels like you could cave someone's skull in with it. I think the Blade 14 wins by just a bit here. I don't really have any fancy awards like the other YouTubers, so this is my prize. You'll get this Burger King crown. Good job, Blade. Number 2, the best keyboard. Now, keyboards are a very subjective subject, so it's a bit hard to say which is the best one. I myself prefer clickier keys, but some people prefer thumpier keys. But in general, I think the Razer Blade 14 takes this one again, since it's got a very nice balanced keyboard. It's not super clicky, but a lot of people seem to like it. Then again, a lot of people don't seem to like it, but it's definitely the best looking keyboard out of all of them. So that's a fun little extra. Good job. Number 3, the best trackpad, or touchpad, or whatever you want to call it. Now, the trackpads on Windows laptops have been lacking for a while now compared to MacBooks, because MacBooks have Force Touch, you know, the vibration thing, so it feels leagues better than any diving board trackpad. Now, the Microsoft Surface Laptop 7 did have a vibrating touchpad, but that's not really a gaming laptop, so I can't include it here. But in my opinion, the best trackpad goes to the Zephyrus G14 from Asus. It's made of glass, so it's very sturdy and has a very comfortable click. It's also big enough for a 14-incher, so people with big hands can use it well as well. Now, this one was actually a very close pick between the Zephyrus G14 and the Blade 14, but the Blade 14 requires a lot of force to press it down, so it doesn't really win in my opinion. Number 4, the best display or screen. 2024 was a great year for laptop displays. This was the year that we finally got OLED high refresh rates on a lot of laptops. And in my opinion, these are worlds better than even the best IPS LCD display. So we've got quite a bit of contenders for this category. But 2 laptops in specific are the absolute best of the best. The HP Omen Transcend 14 and again, the Zephyrus G14 from Asus. They both have 2880 by 1800 pixel displays, they're OLED, and they're 120 Hz. This combination of stuff would have been unheard of a couple of years ago. I mean, they're sharp, they have amazing looking colors and deep blacks, and all of this with high refresh rate. I mean, it can't really get better than this. Now, the reason why I gave it to both of them is because they have pretty much identical panels. They use the almost exact same screens, so I'm giving it to both of them. Now, number 5, best speakers. I'm not even gonna stall this one. It just goes to the Zephyrus G14 and Zephyrus G16 right away. These 2 guys are MacBook levels of speakers. I mean, there's really nothing like it. They can get loud, they've got awesome bass, they've got actual surround sound, which does sound very good. And they just sound good. It's not really missing anything. I mean, every single time I've used this guy for music or something, people are always blown away by how much sound it can create, with a lot of bass. A couple laptops have gotten close to beating the G14 and G16, but they're still just the best of 2024. Let's hope that changes in 2025 though. I'd really like to see some better speakers on Windows laptops. And number 6, best performance. A lot of laptops in 2024 were more focused on thinness and design than actual raw performance. So some 2023 models are actually faster than their 2024 counterparts, since laptops have gotten thinner. For example, the 2023 model of the Zephyrus G14 was the most powerful 14-inch laptop ever. Still to this day. I mean, you could fit it with up to an RTX 4090, but this year, not a single 14-inch gaming laptop has gotten more than an RTX 4070. I almost gave best performance to the Razer Blade 14, since it has a lot of wattage available and just performs really well. However, the newer Zephyrus G16 comes with the new AMD HX 370 chip, which is a lot faster. And since wattage in RTX 4000 GPUs doesn't really matter above 100 watts anyways, the Zephyrus G16 is actually a lot faster. This guy did very well in games and didn't even break a sweat under high loads. So yeah, for me, the best performance goes to the Zephyrus G16. Number 7, the best battery life. Now, AMD's new HX 370 chip has been a savior for every single laptop it's been in this year. In the exact same chassis, some battery life has almost doubled with this chip inside. So it isn't weird that I'm giving the best battery life again to the Zephyrus G16. This baby lasted like 10 to 11 hours in my YouTube playback test, which was quite a bit more time than the previous 2024 model, which had that Intel Ultra 9 chip, which got very hot. So yeah, I can very comfortably say that this laptop will last you quite a bit. Now, number 8, best upgradeability. Unfortunately, 2024 wasn't a great year for laptop upgradeability, and while Apple is leading a trend that takes away more and more upgradeability from laptops, we the consumers are suffering from that. We have lost a lot of good men in this battle. RIP Zephyrus 2023's RAM slots. But in the fog of war, one soldier stood its ground. The Razer Blade 14. The Razer Blade 14 actually didn't have RAM slots before, and they only added it this year. This is pretty much the only time I've seen a laptop add upgradeability a year later. I mean, you could stack it with up to Wi-Fi 7, or whatever the next fastest standard is, an 8TB M.2 SSD, and 96 gigabytes of RAM, which is a crazy amount of stuff for a 14-inch laptop. Now lastly, the best overall value. Which laptop has the best bang for your buck? Now this is kind of hard to say because laptop prices vary a lot depending on where you live and what kind of prices are available in your country. For example, I live in the EU, so I have to open a mortgage to buy a laptop. But around the world, the Asus TUF A14 has been priced very nicely, consistently. It's got solid build quality, some very nice specs for the price, some pretty good speakers, a decent display, and it's very thin. And it regularly sells for some very nice prices. So if you want a laptop on the cheaper side that does pretty much everything very well, I think this is your guy. It's pretty much just a cheaper Zephyrus G14. Now let's rank each laptop that I've reviewed individually. I'll start from the bottom, and at the end I'll tell you which laptop is my favorite of 2024. Now I've only got one laptop in the dog water tier, and that's gotta be the MSI Cyborg 14. The laptop itself is pretty okay. Pretty much the only reason this laptop was any good was because it was at a nice price. I mean, $1,000 for any gaming laptop these days is pretty good. And it did have an RTX 4060, but that RTX 4060 was capped at 45 watts. So it pretty much performed like a laptop with a 4050. Now it had an okay screen, an okay keyboard, everything was pretty much okay, but it is one of the worst laptops I've ever reviewed. Now in the meh tier, at the bottom I'm gonna have to put the Acer Predator Helios Neo 14. Just because of the name. That's a joke. This laptop performed very well, and it was pretty okay, but it was very expensive for what it was offering. Once again, it had an okay keyboard, an okay display, but it was full plastic. Now it performed very well, so it wasn't a bad laptop by any means, but it just was not worth the price. If you can't find it at a good price, it's still a pretty good deal, but there are better laptops out there. Now next up is the Asus TUF A15. This guy wasn't very impressive at anything really, but it performed well at a very good price. This was at the time one of the cheapest gaming laptops you could buy, so it performing really well really gave it a lot of value. So I think it deserved this spot. Now in the good tier, I'll put the Asus ProArt PX13. This was the refresh of the ROG Flow X13, but made for creators. It was basically just a Flow X13 with a more professional look at it, but the Flow X13 was one of my favorite laptops from 2023. So why isn't this one ranked higher? Well, it has a 60Hz display. And sure, this isn't really supposed to be a gaming laptop. It says it in the name, ProArt, but still that really takes away a lot of value from it. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good laptop, but I really would have loved to see a high refresh rate display. Now first in the very good tier is the HP Omen Transcend 14. This guy did a lot of things right. It looked very nice and unique. It has an awesome display, the same one as the Zephyrus G14. It had good build quality, even though it had some plastic parts. But again, it was limited by wattage, because I think you could only use a USB-C charger on it, so the GPU was very limited, so it didn't perform as well as the other big guys. And it was very expensive, even more expensive than the Zephyrus G14 and other 14-inch laptops. So it just performed the worst out of all of them. Again, if you can find this guy at a good price, it might be worth it, but for me, it was a bit disappointing. Now next in the very good tier is the Asus TUF A14. Like I said before, this is pretty much just a Zephyrus G14, but cheaper. For the price, it had good build quality, a good display, good performance, great keyboard, great touchpad. It pretty much just did everything very well, and all of that at a mid-range price. So I think it deserves this spot. Now on to the amazing tier. At the bottom of the amazing tier, I'll put the Razer Blade 14. This was one of the best gaming laptops of 2024 in my opinion. It had by far the best build quality. I mean, this thing is a real tank. It had the highest power limits, so it performed very well for how small it is. It had a gorgeous keyboard and very good touchpad. It had a bunch of ports, but what keeps it from the top spot was its display. If they put OLED on this laptop, I think it would have been the best gaming laptop of 2024. But because of that build quality, it was also a little bit heavy, so it's not really a very light package for 14 inches. Now there's actually two laptops that I want to name best gaming laptops of 2024. And you probably already guessed this from the beginning of the video, but it's the Zephyrus G14 and the Zephyrus G16. These two laptops are almost identical, but the G14 is just 14 inches and the G16 is 16 inches. But these two just do everything right. They've got the best displays, the best speakers, very good keyboards, very good touchpads, amazing build quality, and with the deals that are available right now, they're not even that expensive anymore. Sure, they don't have the highest possible power limits, but as we've seen before, that doesn't really matter for RTX 4000. I can find almost no flaws with these two laptops, and I've pitched them against a bunch of others, pretty much all of these. So I think it's very much deserved that the Zephyrus G14 and G16 are named best gaming laptops of 2024. Shit. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and leave a like. If not, I don't know, threaten me in the comments or something, because it'll still help the algorithm.
Hey, are you coming?
Yeah.